What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to your regularly scheduled program. This time, we're not doing this Saturday. We are doing it on the usual Friday at 5:30 p.m. ET. Welcome on in, everybody. And today we're getting into episode 8 of You Saw That Right. We got some interesting topics to go over today. We always do. Every week, new things come out, but we're super excited to go over some of these topics. How's everybody doing today?
What a way to start your Friday with your two favorite YouTubers.
Or end your Friday? I don't know how you would.
I guess, start the weekend. What clock on out and listen to us rant.
Yeah. XF says, hey, everyone. Hi. John says, hey. We've got Mrs.
They were betting on what time we'd actually start.
Happy Friday, Tariq says.
What up?
All right. Well, let's just kind of get into it, starting off with something pretty interesting. You know, a lot of the times in the episodes that we've been doing recently, in one way or another, we do kind of come around to talking about AI in the Hollywood industry, and kind of how a lot of time we've been talking about kind of like how it's uncontrolled or needs some regulations or things like that. And well, we've got a new interesting development come up, and this kind of actually relieves at least me a little bit. Again, me and Zay don't talk about our opinions on the topics before we come here onto the show. So I'll have to hear his opinion, but this is an article from Variety. You could check it out. It's in the description. It's really interesting. It talks about how Netflix acquires Ben Affleck's AI startup company. Now, when I first read this, I was like, there is no way that Ben Affleck is jumping aboard the AI train and getting involved with generating videos that are violating copyright and all that stuff, because that would go against everything that Ben Affleck does as a living. So I had to look into this. I had to investigate this a little more to see what it's about. And it's actually about something way more positive. And it's actually interesting because I had no idea Ben Affleck was doing this, but apparently he's been kind of behind the scenes, been doing this since 2022. And it's basically an AI company that is essentially meant to accent a creative's vision or develop tools that can help a creative get the right kind of vision they're looking for without overriding their direction. And I think that this is kind of like similar to what we've been talking about in our other shows about how AI should be and how it should be utilized and how it should be used as a tool, almost like a hammer. But if you don't use it the right way, you can hurt yourself, that type of thing. And it looks like Ben Affleck seems to be, from my perspective, leading the charge in using AI the right way. And I love to see this because, you know, a lot of people, they're afraid of something they don't know. And a lot of the reaction to AI has been, get it out of Hollywood. Get it. We don't want anything to do with it. Now, some people are more moderate and thinking like, how do we utilize it? But Ben Affleck seems to have been taking this approach and putting pen to paper and actually making action on it by the startup company that he's created that uses AI to help filmmakers in their vision. And Netflix was interested in it. Now, we did find out about this shortly after Netflix got paid out some $1 billion for leaving Warner Brothers. So, I mean, that deal. So,
yeah, they got paid a pretty penny.
But it's kind of interesting because did they buy this with the money they got from leaving the deal?
I don't know. Maybe it should. Yeah, because there's no financial specifics got disclosed. So I don't know, but I bet you it helped offset it.
It probably did help. Now, this actually comes from Variety. Netflix released video kind of about this acquisition, and Ben Affleck was in the video as well. And Variety kind of showed what wrote what Ben Affleck explained here. Ben Affleck explained that the Interpositive System, that's the company, builds an AI model based on an existing production's dailies. Then it lets a filmmaker introduce the model into the post-production process to provide the ability to do things like mix and color, relight shots, and add visual effects, Affleck explained. And that's from Variety, referencing the video that Netflix shared. Listen, guys, this is great news. I think that this is um, a bandwagon a lot of people should jump on. And I'm really curious to see the development of this. Now, there's not to say there's no downside to this, because then you wonder, like, you know, there are people involved in post-production, editing, relighting shots, you know, sequences, that kind of thing. And it makes you wonder, like, are their jobs at stake now? Or is this tool something they would use as a part of their job to make their job easier? I'm not entirely sure how this is going to be utilized, but I can still see a potential downside for some people in the industry. However, if it's utilized correctly, I think this is a really exciting development. And props on Netflix for joining in and acquiring this. Now, according to the article, it seems like Netflix doesn't necessarily have plans to kind of sell it or utilize it or anything like that for other studios, but they are going to be apparently using it with internally with their creatives, from what I've read. So, you know, props to them. I'm curious how other actors might view this. If anyone else wants to try to start up their own company to kind of help the film industry, it's treading a line, but I think it's on the right side. Zay, what are your thoughts about this after reading this?
Yeah, real quick, if you guys hear a noise like that, that's the puppy getting put in its place by Yoki, because they're wrestling behind me. So, and she likes to nip and chew. So I think that this is out of all the AI news that we've heard in relation to, you know, film industry and everything, I agree with you. I think this is definitely the most positive that we've heard in my eyes as well. Did Netflix use that money? Probably, if they already got it paid out, probably use that money to fund this investment, or probably use the fact that they are getting that money to fund this investment. I also was shocked that Ben Affleck was in anything AI. When I first read that, I was like, whoa, is this like the evil villain of actors that's like actually going to do damage, like
right,
supporting AI creation? But everything about this, I think can be a positive. Now, you brought up a fair point, because there are a lot of people that do work in post-production. Does this replace their job, or is this a tool added to their job? I think it's going to be mostly a tool that's added maybe to their job, maybe just to make it easier, speeds up film production. I just hope that means their job doesn't lose value, if that because there's that opportunity that if you can just teach somebody how to get it to remove it, like everyone has to learn how to use it. So if you can just have someone already on the production team and cut post-production, like having a separate post-production team, just having a general role that uses it, then that would stink, because now we're starting to cut out jobs. Even though I think this is how AI, if you're going to utilize in the film industry or in any creative aspect, should be used, there is that general fear. But this seems like the safest version of AI for Hollywood, I would say. That we'll at least get, for sure. So I also thought it was interesting that Ben Affleck would become a senior advisor for Netflix, which is very interesting. And Netflix doesn't. But I
wonder, is it for Netflix in total? Because I read that too, and it wasn't clear enough to me.
It says to Netflix. So I'm wondering. Yeah, I don't know if he's like on their board, or if it's just more like
on behalf of the company.
I want to say maybe something like that. I don't know. They didn't really specify too crazy on it. But I also did wonder if this was some sort of is this like a game by Netflix being like trying to, because people were already judging them for trying to buy Warner Brothers. It's like, oh no, look, see, we're investing in good stuff for industry, or the whole thing was they have no market in film, not in film, but like in theaters and such like that. But investing into something like this is just good for the film industry overall, or could be at least. Now, I also wonder, I wonder if we're going to see more companies like this, like Netflix acquired Interpositive. So are they going to contract this out to people? Do you think they'd be able to contract this out to other companies to utilize it?
I'm sure if they wanted to, but it seemed like from the article, they don't have plans on doing that, at least right now.
It's a golden goose right now. That's like I haven't heard any news or AI related in any filmmaking aspect or centralized around something like this. It's most of the AI stuff we've seen has been teetering on copyright or has been copyright infringement. So I wonder what other tools or startups might end up being acquired, might being developed. I just overall think that this is just a solid. I think it's a solid move for Netflix. I think it will be good for film. Would be interested to see, because they also said that they're going to be enhancing. It can also enhance backgrounds and stuff. So I would be interested to see the first film that's created that uses this technology. Like, will there, like, I would love it if it was like in a setting like New York City or something we're generally familiar with. So we could be like, oh wow, like that. You could try to compare it to like maybe another film that's in the same area and that didn't use that. Like, I'd love to see a before and after. Maybe we'll get something like that. Maybe they'll show it to broadcast the effectiveness and the usability for it. But I'm excited. I think that this is interesting. It's cool to see. And this is probably the closest. This is probably like the only decent compromise we'll see between use of AI in creative aspects, especially within the film industry. So, I mean, we'll see.
You know what, though, when you were saying that, it made me wonder, okay, so like, let's say a film or a couple films use this AI for minor tweaking, minor color enhancements, minor things like that. But like, does it, first of all, would it have to preference like this film was made with AI?
Oh, would they put like a notice in there?
About.
I bet you in the credits.
Yeah, maybe. But then also, would it be disqualified from something like best visual effects or things like that?
See, now that is a very good question, because for people that are into gaming as much as I am, I watched the Game Awards, and my game of the year last year was Clair Obscur Expedition 33. For people that it's a movement, it's a very fun game. You should check it out. Game's amazing, sound, voice acting, but the game actually lost its Game of the Year award because they had used AI at one point in the game, even though they removed it eventually in an update and reinstilled like actual production, like having the actual edit. They lost the game. They were not eligible. They got completely removed. Wow. So that award, it was the only one they didn't get. So it got given to my second favorite game, Blueprints, which is awesome. But yeah, so I think that that's a very fair point. I think that there will be awards you will not be eligible for. Or maybe they create another category. Like,
best AI visual effects. I don't know.
Man, they listen. They like to add categories every once in a while. I will say though, it does say that it can help recreate or complete missing shots, and so then I wonder, like, because I know I guess it's fine because right, they say it's trained. I guess it's like if it can help recreate, or complete missing shots, it's like to what extent? Because then could you get greedy and be like, and start to have it just make shots that you didn't like? If you're already training it on the film itself, you might have that ability to have it make scenes for you. And then again, that starts to teeter into the AI stuff we were talking about before that we don't want. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how it shakes out. Congrats to Ben Affleck. I'm sure that he just made a bag on that. Probably a $4 billion bag, to be honest, but it'll be insane to see.
All right. Well, let us know what your guys' thoughts about this are. Are you interested in this? Do you not care? Are you excited about this? Are you sad about this? Are you mad about this? Are you happy about this? Is this something that you would do if you were Netflix? Would you acquire something like this? Is this something that you wouldn't want Netflix to do as who you are right now? Do you think Ben Affleck is doing something positive for the industry or negative for the industry? Leave your thoughts down below. Let us know, and we'll get to some right now in the live chat. Let's see. Jonathan said, I've been wanting an AI that could be used to restore film. Studios don't usually want to spend the money. Not sure if this can do that, but it might be a first step. That would be interesting, like older films restored through AI.
I think it opens the door now that there's a want for this type of technology, not just the AI that can do it all, but the AI that's just like supplemental to the film, production.
Right.
So
yeah. Let's say Mrs. Snapester says, I'm just resistant to change. I guess I didn't even want to colorizing movies, but I've changed my mind about that. And look, I think that that's a fair assessment. Even she says, Mrs. Napster says, I look at what AI has done to music and it just scares me what it might do to movies. I think it's fair to be worried, especially because you don't know what it is and you don't want it touching anything. But, and I hate to be the one to say this, but at some point, we either have to welcome it or be run over by it. And unfortunately, I think this is something that if we can at least be positive about something that is more of an accent than an overriding of the industry, then perhaps we can direct the development of these technologies towards something more coexisting with the film industry. That's my personal opinion. John says, this sounds like the next generation of the computer-based animation Pixar created for Disney 35 years ago. He says Little Mermaid was the first film made with that tech and no one knew at the time.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I'd have to look into that. I don't know anything about what that is. G4 says, if you witness a beautiful sunset with your own eyes and capture it on film to show your friends, it's not the same.
It's true.
It's true.
I mean, it's true. Yeah. I guess, yeah, use of tech. Also, a good question from G-Force as well. How good is AI at color correction? And that's a great, it's only 2 more down. That's a great question. I would imagine pretty good, but again, I think, I don't know. I've never really seen, actually, I've used like a little bit of color correction before, and a lot of editing stuff now, it features AI tools like that. So I don't know. This probably is a better than anything I've ever touched, since this is, funded by Ben Affleck and probably has people that know what they're doing using it. But well, I mean, we'll have to see. I'd love to see a side by side again. Like differences of like quality would be very interesting.
Yeah, I agree. XF says, I would live with this using AI for film restoration. And then we'll end it off on a fun joke from Richard. I guess we'll see how things will be afflected.
Richard, thanks.
All right, Zay, what's the next topic we have on the list?
All righty. So I feel like this is a franchise many people are familiar with. This franchise hasn't had a film in a long time, as far as I'm aware. This article comes from Deadline. Scary Movie 6 trailer. We got the Wayans brothers return alongside Anna Faris and Regina Hall for latest entry in horror spoof franchise. If you guys go check this article out, which will be linked down below, the trailer is linked there, or you can just look it up. But I do want to say this, Cam, if you want to pull this quote up, because I think that this is where you got to start it off with. This came from Deadline. During a brief interview in 2025, Marlon Wayans teased the film as a no-holds-barred installment full of equal opportunity offenders from Deadline, and not a lie was told in that statement. Just from the beginning, there was a they-them joke. There was a lot going on in this film. And everything I've seen, I'll say first up, I thought I've only seen a couple of the scary movies, like the first couple. So I got to watch the later ones. But I will say, I enjoyed the trailer. I'm excited to see this. I'm excited to see how far they push these boundaries. And every bit of commentary I've seen on it from other people has been in the same thing, has been a lot of, oh God, we're going to see how this new generation reacts to this, because in some people's opinions, not going to say my opinion, not necessarily, feel like people get a little bit soft with comedy nowadays. It's kind of circling back around though. I've been seeing this newest generation starting to become really funny and like not care, which is kind of crazy. But I'm excited to see this. Also, Kai Cenat, very famous Twitch streamer, who has the most subs ever, it was in the trailer. So I don't wonder what his role is going to be in this, but I'm excited to see this. Scary Movie is a classic. It spoofs all these. If you've never seen a scary movie, the title's ironic because it's a comedy that just spoofs on every single scare, like a lot of the horror films, all the major ones that have come out. Like I think Megan was the mask that was in the beginning of the trailer and stuff like that. It also looks like the other returning actors, we got Lachlan Monroe, Dave Sheridan, Chris Elliott. So they're bringing back the crew, it seems like, or whatever the solid crew was. Again, I haven't seen them in a long time, so I can't remember everyone that was in the originals. But the last Scary Movie was from 2013. They have a lot of stuff to work with here. You have 13 years, well, full 12 years, or yeah, I guess 13 years of horror movies to spoof, of a lot of topics to joke about and poke fun at and prod. And I think this is going to be a real test of what the younger generations and what like a lot of the younger generations and how people feel about these types of things. I feel like a lot of people our age and older are excited for it because like, oh, like classic comedy push the boundaries. I feel like there's an area of people that are not going to like this movie because they're going to feel it pushes too far. And when it comes to well, I guess when it comes to stuff like that with comedy, you know, some people believe you can kind of joke about everything. Some people believe you kind of have boundaries into stuff like that. I feel like there's relatively boundaries in certain stuff you should joke about. When it comes to comedy and films, where you know it's like ridiculousness, what do you how far do you think they're going to push this full? Do you think they're going to like just really go for big air and really test the waters?
Well, I mean, based off of what we saw in the trailer, yes. I think that they are going to not hold back at all. And I really hope this movie does well. And I'll tell you why. Because we're kind of leaving that barren wasteland that we kind of entered with the lack of good comedy.
Yeah,
Now,
it's been pretty barren, I'd say. Yeah.
yeah, you know, especially after you and I started watching things like Airplane, Blazing Saddles, that
Oh
kind of
yeah.
thing. So many good comedies in the past. And then they kind of transitioned to a new comedy where you have like the Seth Rogen, the Jonah Hills, and those are really funny too. The Will Ferrells, the John C. Reilly stuff, great comedies. But then they kind of all fizzled out away, and even the Adam Sandler movies, and then they fizzled out, and then we've kind of had this like barren wasteland of comedy movies. Like maybe like I can't even think of a comedy movie after 2014 that comes to mind, at least, that I thought was like rewatchably cackly funny. Now there might be one. I can't think of it right now.
I
but
can't. I mean, what you said since like 2020?
2014 is
Oh,
what I said.
2014. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because you know I was gonna say Ted, but Ted came out in 2012. Step Brothers
There
came
you
out, I
go.
think, before that. I
Yeah.
mean, the only comedy movies I even recollect, even from last year, that came out that had something going was like Happy Gilmore too. Only because I've seen the first one and everyone's like, oh my god, they're finally making a second one.
Well, and that's what I was going to get to next. You've got Happy Gilmore 2 that just came out. The new Naked Gun reboot with
Oh
Liam
yeah,
Neeson came
yeah.
out. Now we've got Scary Movie. It looks like we are heading back into a world where this type of comedy is something that we'll see more often. And I sure hope so, because man, am I parched in terms of being thirsty of this type of funny. And so I'm excited about this. Anytime a studio decides to take a risk and do something that could flop on its head, but they're willing to dive in and see what the audience thinks and potentially bring back something that everybody loved, that was unfortunately ruined by more modern things. Like I believe the spoof movies went away because the more modern ones started to become really bad, and then it kind of ruined the spoof movie industry. But looks like we're kind of going back, we're revamping it, and I thought the trailer did a really good job at kind of getting me excited, getting me back in the zone, feeling like, oh yeah, let's do this. Let's get back into the meat and potatoes of what makes funny movies funny. And I'm excited to see this movie, but I'm more excited to see what this movie does to culture and what it does to the future of comedies, because boy, do we need this type of stuff coming back. I think it's exciting because we did see some things. It is also interesting to see more like modern spoofs of things. Like we saw a scene from like Sinners in there, which was really interesting.
Yeah.
Megan, like you said. And you know what's funny?
They go hyper recent, so that's cool.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? Scream 7 just released, and they're like, let's drop Scary Movie 6.
Oh shit, that's actually honestly probably good timing, because I mean the iconic, like the Scream mask is iconic. Scream is an iconic franchise. Bring this franchise back and seeing the Wayne brothers again is like, you know, they're funny. I mean, they're hilarious.
3, can we do it? Can we run it back? Like, are you kidding me,
dude? Haunted House. God, when was that movie? And that was Haunted House 2 came out in 2014.
Yeah,
damn,
I can't think of anything past.
That's crazy. Haunted House was, I think, the first movie I watched with Cameron where I think we were keeled over laughing on his couch. Like we could not stop laughing. Or was it whatever when the dog gets flat?
I think that's number
fucking pancake.
Yeah, I think that's number 2, right? He's like, my dog is a fucking pancake.
Dude,
and he's like
in tears, man. We haven't seen funny shit like that. I feel like it's been so long.
Well, let's hope we can get something back. What are your guys' thoughts? Are you excited about Scary Movie 6 coming out? Are you going to support it just because it might be bringing good comedy back, even if you've never seen the Scary Movies? Are you not interested in this kind of thing at all? Is it not your comedy? Are you excited that at least it's taking risks? Are you not happy that this type of genre is coming back? Not everybody was a fan of this type of stuff. Leave a comment down below what your thoughts are and if you saw the trailer. Meanwhile, we'll get into some of the comments that are happening live.
And after we do these comments, I have a feeling I smell a puppy potty accident, so I might have to pick that up after. So just give me after you do these comments, though.
I mean, I could address the comments if you want to take care of that.
Okay, yeah, give me a minute then. Yeah.
Sure. Richard K says, Richard K says, comedy has always been a great way to broach topics
That's
that
the
maybe.
culprit.
Ow,
That's the culprit.
He's getting bigger.
Not going to potty in my house.
Richard says, comedy has always been a great way to broach topics that may be sensitive. That has always been the case and should be that way. I agree. Tariq says, this movie is hopefully the gateway to bringing back raunchy comedy movies when people get offended. I hope so. Yeah, I mean, they seem to be not holding anything back for like offensive type of humor. And I think maybe everyone can kind of, lighten up a little bit because things are pretty tense. Let's see. Migsy says, I'm happy to see the Wayans brothers back at the helm with a wink to the original with a lot of cameos from the very first to addressing current horror films and spoofing them along society today. Yes, I think that's great. I think maybe it'll start drawing more attention to modern horror films because horror films always have a hard time performing well. Let's see. Jolsey says, I know people that don't like movies like these. I am just, well, look, comedy is subjective. I just hope there's enough people that enjoy this to where we can maybe keep something like this going. Mrs. Snapester says, I think they're going to push the envelope. I think they're going to rip the envelope wide open. Indy says, Naked Gun was a good tester. As a restart, now maybe it'll be easier. Yep, they're bringing them back. Migsy says, surprisingly, these spoofs, ridiculously absurd comedy was nailed in the coffin with Zoolander 2, but it was good to see that it restarted with the reboot of The Naked Gun and bringing back just silly comedy. Yep. I haven't seen Zoolander 2, though. Richard says, I also feel there's a big difference between the way Attitude USA has towards comedy compared to Europe. That's true, but if something like this can come back in the USA, maybe we can get some Monty Python-style humor back in from Britain. That'd be crazy. Mrs. Napster says, at least I hope they push the boundaries as far as they'll go. I think they're gonna break the boundaries.
God, I love when they push boundaries. What's are also great movies too are the Borat movies. Like, have you ever seen Borat?
Yeah, those are fun.
Dude.
When did they come out?
They did do a recent one, didn't they? It looks like also Borat's it's like a co-production between the US and the United Kingdom, which is interesting. Probably why it pushes boundaries. Borat's subsequent movie, they made one in 2020. It got 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. I do remember hearing about it.
It might just be one of those starting to return everything type of movies.
I think we're just hitting this return area, and I hope we stay in it for a while. I like to laugh.
John says the top 20 list of comedies this decade are all movies of another genre that might be funny.
It's very true. That's funny.
Migsy says comedy as a way of revealing truths that we refuse to see or accept in a way that is digestible. And when politics try to censor comedy, that's when we should worry and free speech. Look, the great thing about comedy is that it allows you to kind of relieve a little bit when it comes to serious things. And that brings another thing.
Mm.
This is going to sound egotistical. It's going to sound pretty but I do hope that if this type of comedy comes back,
yeah,
and if this type of lightening the load on serious things comes back a little bit, that perhaps maybe some of you guys in the comment section will lighten up when we get comedic about serious things, because that's what we do. Now, most of you are fine. There's just like 1% of the people that when we take something serious and we find something comedic in it, it is explosive in the comments. However, maybe this will change that. We'll see.
I hope so. Lighten up.
Anyways, speaking of another trailer that dropped, HBO has just dropped their Lanterns trailer from DC Studios, headed by James Gunn. Super excited to watch this. I'm a huge comic book fan, as you can't tell. Green Lantern is a really cool and interesting side of the DC universe, the Green Lantern side of the universe. And what's interesting is they had done a Green Lantern movie in the past with Ryan Reynolds. Everybody knows it did not perform well. People did not like it. It was criticized. It was mocked. Even Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool in one of his movies took a time machine and shot himself in the face while he was reading the Green Lantern script. So he doesn't do the movie. It was really funny. But they're going back at it again, and this time with a very, very, very different approach. And I love this. So if you've seen the trailer, well, what we do know is if you've seen the Superman movie, we do know the Green Lanterns exist in this universe. We saw one of the characters in the movie, a Green Lantern, Guy Gardner. He was a douche nozzle, but he was still fun to watch. And now they're bringing in a new show with two Lanterns, Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan, I believe. Or Kyle
Chandler's Hal Jordan, and Aaron Pierre's Jon Stewart. Yeah.
And it looks like we're gonna kind of get a situation where Hal Jordan is a veteran Lantern and he's training Jon Stewart. But you know what's interesting about this? And you know what I actually absolutely love about this, and what more movies need to do or shows need to do as well.
Mm-hmm.
This movie showed this trailer showed barely any use of the powers. It showed you what was happening in the show.
Mm-hmm.
It shows you that this is a murder mystery. This is taking place kind of like, it's got this Western feel to it. Apparently they based it off of like True Detective. And it really gets you invested in the characters. Now, the Green Lantern side of it is cool, but they highlighted the chemistry between the characters, the tone, the feel of the show, with showing very little about the Lantern stuff. And I think that's a good idea. And I'll tell you why that's a good idea. If you show the Lantern stuff, you are going to get people like me, the nerds, really excited. However, the nerds will watch you either way. We're going to tune in and we're going to watch it regardless of what you show in the trailer. However, you could make us a little bit happy and give us a little bit of power action. However, I will say you need to appeal to the general audience. You need to appeal to people who aren't familiar with Green Lantern, who aren't familiar with the DC universe, and get them invested in a show that looks interesting and feels interesting. And that's what I feel like this trailer did. We'll have to ask you about that specifically, and you guys in the comments who don't know much about DC, just because you guys are more in that general audience area than someone like me is. However, I think they did a good job. I thought the chemistry was really interesting. It's a mystery. You gotta love mysteries. I'm excited for this. I can't wait to see where they go with this. Zay, what were your thoughts when you saw this new Green Lanterns trailer? Actually, before I ask you, you can actually read the article about this on The Hollywood Reporter, and they say that Jordan and Stewart become involved with a murder in the American heartland, as the show's logline puts it, and Stewart bristles at what he sees as Jordan's refusal to step aside. So we're going to kind of get this young buck, old veteran that doesn't want to retire type of chemistry. They're always really fun to watch. Looks like in the trailer they did it well. Zay, what are your thoughts about this trailer when you watched it?
Yeah, I think so. It's interesting is that when we were talking about, I can't remember what specific article we were talking about, maybe last week or the week before. I think it was last week, because we were talking about superhero stuff regarding like Spider-Man, like this, after we were talking about like the Venom universe and all that type of stuff going on. Mm-hmm. I can't remember who said it. Someone in the comments at one point did say, I think that people just have superhero fatigue, basically. Just, these intergalactic, over the top, crazy, like super ability battles and stuff going on. And so I wonder if that played a factor into like choosing to go this route, because this is way less superhero-y so far from what we've seen. Again, we know that they're lanterns. We know that they have the lantern powers, whatever. I'm sure they'll be used, but this was pivoted as like they based it off the True Detective series, which is a fantastic. I've never seen it, but I've heard great things about it. So I liked that they went this direction, because you don't necessarily have to. It honestly kind of gives me the same vibes of a kind of like Spider Noir, basically a little bit too.
Sure,
it was way more detective-y and not so much. So maybe this is sparking. I mean, we just said like how we might be seeing first steps with like AI application stuff. Maybe this is first steps of changing up the narrative for some new superhero shows and movies. Maybe they take these routes instead and say, hey, let's not just sell it based on like, if you can always, like you said, nerds are gonna go see it. I'm gonna go see it. You're gonna go see it. Anyone that's in here that loves superhero shit's gonna go see it regardless. But you have to get that audience that isn't always necessarily into that superhero crazy stuff, doesn't know the lore, doesn't know who Jon Stewart is, who Hal Jordan is, but maybe wants to learn. And I feel like that's how you start to bring that audience in, by changing up, not following the same cookie cutter. Again, one big bad super galactic space boss. So I'm excited. It looked good. I'm excited to see Aaron Pierre. Aaron Pierre is a phenomenal performer. He voiced Mufasa in like the Disney Mufasa, the Lion King movie. And he's like, I think he's been on Broadway. He won like an award as Othello or something like that. Or as Cassio in Othello at Shakespeare's. Well, yeah, he won some award for that. He's a very, very good actor. Very good. I didn't recognize him at first because his face, like he usually has facial hair and stuff. So seeing him all trimmed down was kind of cool. But I also loved the dynamic and their chemistry already. I felt like the chemistry between Kyle and Aaron was good, or Hal and John was already good. I'm excited to see what we get. I don't know, did say how many episodes we are getting? Because it comes out this year, right? It says 2026?
Yeah, I think it comes out this year, later this year. And I'm guessing maybe 8 or 10 episodes. It's usually kind of the format nowadays, but I don't know how many episodes for sure.
So, I mean, this is going to be interesting. It seems very just ground-based, not so much, again, like the typical space stuff, which is interesting because, like, the lanterns, like, you know,
right, they're the last people you'd expect to be like this Western,
less spacey. So,
yeah,
and they're in a weird, interesting location too. Like, not a big city, just kind of like out, and just a very interesting setup, a very interesting vibe. It seems like, I mean, listen, I feel like bringing these two into the show. It seems like HBO's going for big air with this show, and, you know, really banking on it being almost like a flagship, you know, TV project. So I hope it turns out well. I hope it does, because I would love to see where future seasons go. I would love to see how it intertwines maybe with other parts of the DC universe. And I feel like DC just a lot of the time when it comes to projects, they get shit on compared to Marvel. So I want DC to fight back, because I love a lot of the DC characters. I love DC superheroes. Yeah. So we need something good out of them, and I'm hoping that it gets delivered with this.
Yeah, I do too. You know, I saw this one comment on the trailer in the comment section, which I thought was really funny. It made me chuckle. It said, "No country for old lanterns." It's like no country for old men vibe.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. I am excited to see how this all kind of blends together, and where it's going to go. I'm guessing whatever is behind this mystery is going to be some fucking intergalactic crazy something, you know, like it's probably going to be a murder mystery, and I don't know. We'll see.
I'm sure it'll elevate to something more, but.
Right. And will this eventually become a movie? How, you know, like, where are they going to go with this? Because it is taking place in the larger new DC universe that's being created with Peacemaker and all that stuff. So we'll have to see. What do you guys think? Are you excited about this? Have you seen the original Green Lantern, do you think that this is a good change up? Have you seen True Detective? Are you interested in this vibe? Do you think that this was the wrong decision for them to make? Do you think that this was the right decision for them to make? How have you liked the James Gunn DC stuff so far, being Superman and Peacemaker? Are you excited for the future of the DC? Do you think this is in the right direction? Leave a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts, and we'll get to some live right now. Drop Barracuda with a $5 super chat. It says, turns out the superhero universe's greatest foe was Girl Boss. Apparently, I believe he's referring to the cop, the female cop in the show was in the trailer was in Girl Boss or something like that. I could be wrong. Okay. But that's funny.
That was really funny.
Thank you for the super chat, Barracuda. And thank you for stopping by. Let's see. Mrs. Snapester says the first and third season of True Detective were really good. John says the Watchmen series on HBO also took this direction. Yes, it did. It was a little bit more grounded. And I enjoyed it immensely. Mrs. Snapester says, I love the superhero movies, comic book movies, but I also think that people are suffering from superhero fatigue. Okay, now I have heard this a lot, this superhero fatigue thing, and I do think that there is a superhero fatigue factor happening. However, I don't think that factor is impactful unless they're bad movies in general. And what I mean by that is if you have a bad superhero movie, people love superheroes enough, they'll go out and watch them. If you continue to have bad superhero movies, people will have superhero fatigue because the movie isn't good enough to hold their attention and the superheroes they've seen too much of. However, I've heard this said before. I think more people have people have bad movie fatigue over superhero fatigue. And we've been getting a lot of bad superhero movies recently. And I think that's the result behind the fatigue. The reason I bring this up, Deadpool and Wolverine, highest grossing, I believe, rated R movie of all time, over $1 billion.
Insane.
Guess what? If people had superhero fatigue, that wouldn't happen.
But okay, hold on, because it's hard though with Deadpool, because Deadpool does step into like a little, it's superhero based, but there's not many movies that are like Deadpool superhero movies, I feel like. Well, I guess Guardians of the Galaxy kind of tries to do that, right? It's relatively funny. But Deadpool's like, Deadpool pushes some lines. But I agree. I do agree with that.
Okay.
There is merit in that argument.
Spider-Man No Way Home.
That's true.
I think is it in the top 10 highest grossing movies of all time?
I want to say
it grossed way over $1 billion. It might have grossed 2. I don't think so, but it grossed a lot in the box.
It grossed over 1.9 billion worldwide.
Yeah.
Including re-releases and ranks as one of the top 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
If people had superhero fatigue, they wouldn't watch it. People have bad movie fatigue. Okay. Bad superhero movie fatigue. So if they can make this Lantern show good, it doesn't matter if they're superheroes. What matters is if the content is good. And we'll have to see. We'll just have to see. Let's see. Richard says, I'll give it a go. People were raving about Wonder Woman, and I didn't like that at all. Interesting, because I disagree in terms of perspective. I enjoyed Wonder Man. Zay, if you haven't seen Wonder Man, it's a really funny show that Disney put out. And the reason why I enjoy it so much is because it barely uses superpowers at all. It involves superpowers, but it's more of a character study. And I thought it was great. But not everybody liked it. Even Richard here didn't like it.
That's fair.
XF says, what did you guys think of the Green Lantern from Superman 2025? Did Cam and Zay see it? I've seen the Superman movie. I don't know, Zay, have you?
I haven't seen it. So I don't know. We can give your opinions on it.
I thought he was really fun to watch. You can see it in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler, but there's a scene where he is like, there's a bunch of like army coming at him, and the Green Lantern goes like this, and then a big middle finger comes out of the ground, a green one, and like launches him in the sky. It's really funny.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. Well, Zay, why don't you take us on to the next topic?
Yeah, so okay, this is going to be one from the Hollywood Reporter. Involves a very famous actor who's already had his hands into productions like this. Tom Hanks World War II documentary series sets Memorial Day premiere on the History Channel. I did do a little digging outside the article because I was curious how long it is. It's 20 episodes, so it'll run a little bit over 20 hours, I guess. So probably an hour, obviously hour and an episode. And this is interesting. This documentary series is positioned to try to explore, obviously, the main focal points of World War II. But actually, if you want to bring up the quote from the article, it actually covers it on this as well. The series explores the human cost of total war, including the Holocaust, civilian resistance, and life on the home fronts, while also revealing the hidden wars of espionage, code breaking, and industrial might that shaped the outcome of the conflict. The Hollywood Reporter is a segment of the show's synopsis. So this is interesting because it's kind of it's not just diving into the overarching normal stories that you could say everyday stories you hear about World War II, but again, trying to dive into some of the deeper aspects of it. Like, again, it was total war. It was like by any means necessary. Interesting. We were kind of talking about how it's like Scream 7 came out. Now they're doing Scary Movie 6. We have a World War II documentary coming out, and everyone is scared we're going into World War III. So it's.
I was going to say the article literally starts with "On the brink of World War III, a documentary for World War II," or something like that.
It's kind of crazy, but one, I'm happy it's Tom Hanks doing it. He's already. I mean, he produced or helped produce Band of Brothers and The Pacific. And Masters of the Air, which is like a more recent, I think, maybe I think it's a show kind of like based
on Apple TV series, I believe. Yeah. It's
okay.
Like Band of Brothers and Pacific, I believe, but it's yeah.
Okay. So I mean, he's had his hand in this. Like he understands World War II, and I think it's important that listen, I can't tell how often it should happen, but I feel like every so often things like this should be reignited and re-brought up because I feel like. As history goes on, it gets so far removed from you. Like, if we talk about ancient Rome and stuff like that, it's like, yeah, like, whoa, some of the stuff that was going on was terrible. Like, imagine fighting in the Colosseum, like, that type of stuff. But it's so far removed from us. It's like, can we really relate or like understand? World War II isn't that far removed from us, but I feel like maybe the younger generation stuff doesn't understand just how crazy it is because I see a lot of jokes about us being on the brink of World War III, and while they are funny, it's not funny because like it is insanity, and technology is way more advanced, and there's just a lot of scary shit that can happen. But I'm super, super, super excited to see this. I'm also excited to see what it covers in regards to like the espionage. I'm sure it'll cover the Enigma machine and everything. Like, I mean, you've seen Imitation Game?
Yeah,
one of my favorite movies of all time. I love that movie. I'm also I think World War II is like I'm the most interested in any like history piece. I always find World War II stuff interesting, that and like other stuff too. But I am so excited to see this. I wonder, I'm assuming they'll probably do an episode a week. So we're going to have a lot. I mean, that's what I'm assuming. So, 20 weeks of getting to watch this. I feel like it's going to have you on the edge of your seat with these stories and getting to hear these events and, all the stuff that, isn't necessarily in history books or you wouldn't know without either knowing somebody that served in it or knowing either that or, I don't know, doing even deeper dives into maybe lesser known stories and books that were written. So I'm excited to get this deep dive in it. I think Tom Hanks producing it and being on, or at least being on, I should say, doing the narration. He's hosting and guiding it, so I'm sure he had his hands in it like that. I think there's no one better for it. He's already experienced in telling stories like this, working on telling these insane war stories and everything through other shows and movies. And I have a lot of high hopes for it. I mean, Cam, what do you think about it? I mean, like I said, we've seen some stuff that Tom Hanks has produced. He's obviously very skilled in production and working on producing quality content. Are you as interested? I mean, maybe not as much as me, but are you as interested in finding out these more hidden stories? Or are you more interested in getting like deeper dive in like are you just more interested in getting that deeper dive and seeing like the stuff that nobody talked about? I mean, the Holocaust stuff is going to be brutal, I feel like, to watch, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm excited for it all. I think Tom Hanks is, like you said, the perfect person to be doing this. We've seen in the past how excellent he is at crafting World War II documentaries or style series where you've got, like you said, Band of Brothers, Pacific. I mean,
Oh,
those were
Saving Private Ryan. I forgot
Saving Private
he's
Ryan.
in
Those are
Saving Private Ryan.
absolutely,
Yeah.
um, great productions. And we know Tom Hanks has a passion for this type of thing, and I'm glad to see it kind of being brought around again. I agree with your point. I think this is something that needs to be revived over and over and over again, because man, does it make you worry that if it gets lost in history, it could repeat itself in one way or another. And we're, as we get older, new kids are being born, new generations are growing up, and I think it's really important that they can get access to this type of stuff and be able to see this type of stuff and something made in a more modern lens, so that, because for some people something being older is less appealing. I think it's great. I think it's awesome. I'm really excited to see how it pans out. I think I have no doubt that this is going to be good, because of who's involved in it. However, I am interested to see other people's reception on it, how popular it gets. I'm worried, though, this is going to be really hard to market to the youth,
Yeah.
especially because it's going to be on the History Channel. I don't know. I mean,
How
I
I don't know
don't know
many young
who's
kids that
watching it.
are going. TV is kind of like it's tough. I don't know.
However, I love that it's happening. I do hope they get into areas that we haven't seen on Band of Brothers in the Pacific and that haven't been explored on Masters of the Air. There's so much that happened in World War II that I don't think they're going to run out of things to explore. And, you got to give Tom Hanks prop for his passion, because
Yeah.
I guess from the article it said he's a historian. I don't know if that's just like a play on words or if he has a degree in history or
He
something.
might. I mean, I don't know.
But he is passionate about World War II. And that's great to see. My grandfather fought in World War II. So it's always good when we get reminders of the sacrifices they made. And one of the few things on this entire channel that I've cried during a reaction was the Band of Brothers finale. So I'm sure this one's going to be a tearjerker. It's going to be brutal to watch. I do hope, though, it can spark some more interest into this type of stuff. However, I'm worried that it's great to see that it's still continuing to come out, but I'm worried that it's going to be harder to get in the eyes of the modern era. Now, it does seem to be tailored for the modern audience. That's kind of what it said in the article. But the question is, how is it going to be marketed? How many people are going to see it? It really makes you wonder. And also, how many, if it's a documentary, how many people are left from World War II? I'm sure there are a decent amount, but that can share their stories,
I mean, it might even just be even finding, relatives that have heard the stories, or maybe, I don't know. That's a very, very good question. There's not many people left, I imagine.
Well, I'm excited about this. I want to watch this. I'm really interested. Maybe we'll do like a thing on Patreon for it or something.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm excited. And having it released on Memorial Day is great. It's a great way to honor those involved. And, it's just, I think it's a nice little touch. And in case you guys didn't know, yes, according to, was it The Hollywood Reporter, it is releasing on Memorial Day. So, I am interested to see how this gets marketed, how much reception it gets. What are your guys' thoughts? Are you interested in this? Are you not interested? Do you have World War II ties yourself? What are your thoughts about Tom Hanks being involved? Do you think that this is a good thing? Have you liked his stuff in the past? Would you have preferred somebody else? Is there someone that comes to mind? Do you think that this is going to be something that the modern audience will see? Do you think it will be hard for other people to kind of realize or to notice it? How, is the History Channel going to be popular enough? Are they going to show this in schools? Are they going to, like, how much marketing is involved in their budget? I don't know. I'm worried about the success of it, but I have no doubt it's going to be good. Leave a comment down below your thoughts, and we'll get into some of the live thoughts right now. Tariq says, it's always good to re-educate the new generation on past events. This might be a little bit of a tearjerker if you've had a family member who served, but I'm always down to learn more. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. John says one of the top historians in the US is working on this with Tom Hanks. That's awesome.
Oh, I love that.
XFL says, thank you for your grandfather's service. Well, you know, thank you to everyone who put their service in, but thanks, XF. John says History Channel usually puts shows on multiple streamers after a while, so kids might find that there. Yeah, true. Like it might land on Netflix or something. Mrs. Snapester says, I'll give any Tom Hanks documentary a try. Richard says they could market it as a Fortnite documentary.
Well, Richard, that just might be the way to get it to the younger generation.
Then once they're in, be like, surprise.
I got your ass.
If you leave, you're a bad person.
They don't give a shit is the problem. Oh my God. Let's see. What else? The fear of Richard also said at 6:25, the fear I have with Hollywood making a World War II, I'm assuming documentary, is the misinterpretation of America's involvement. But I think having a top historian, and having Tom Hanks on there, I don't think that I feel like Tom Hanks wouldn't produce it or be on the project if they weren't going to represent everything as accurately and factually as they can. So I'm not too concerned about any, the Hollywood aspect of it is what I'll say.
Yeah, I think that they've got the right people involved. Even XF says Hank often honors veterans. Good for him.
Yeah.
Let's see. The PDX Pug says the amount of young people that cannot immediately recognize Holocaust imagery is jaw dropping.
That's insane. I don't know how you wouldn't be. I don't know how you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, but we luckily grew up in that era where it was still relevant enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's still relevant now, kind of. I mean, there's shit that's happening. It's like, you got to be aware, man. It is crazy. I will say, when I was younger, I get it, because when I was younger, not that I didn't care about the news and stuff like that, but I didn't care about it. I was like, I don't fucking whatever. Now, anytime I see an article come out, I'm like, oh, you got to be shitting me. I'm like, we did what? I'm like, this is happening to who? And I'm ranting to Tina, and she's like, I'm like, do you not understand the implications of this shit that's happening around us? Open your eyes. But
it's a lot.
It just stresses me out. I would rather be a kid again.
All right. Well, another war that might be happening, moving on to our next topic, is actually really interesting.
Very interesting.
This is going to be our main topic of the show, everybody. If you guys don't know, the Cam and Zay channel kind of started with Game of Thrones reactions, and they're kind of a big reason why a lot of people came to this channel. We started watching the House of the Dragon show. The Night of the Seven Kingdoms show came out. We haven't seen that yet. But now the word is that potentially a Game of Thrones movie might be coming, and that gets me excited. Now, one of the things that some of you might not know is that if you watched our Game of Thrones reactions and you joined our Patreon, you would get exclusive access to our reactions to history. It was history of Game of Thrones or something like that. It was
that is the extra stuff.
The little extras,
episodes, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And so we watched those between the seasons, and one of them, or maybe a couple of them, kind of covered the whole Aegon's conquest. And one of the things that Zay and I said was like, this would be really cool to see a movie about. Like if they ever made a Game of Thrones movie, they should make it about this. Well, lo and behold, we might be getting that. This article comes from Variety, and they credit Page Six Hollywood as the original breaker of the news. But apparently, the writer of the Andor series, I guess, wrote a script or is involved with writing a script or something like that for a new Game of Thrones movie. And it obviously, now that Paramount has kind of absorbed Warner Brothers, or that's happening, or it seems to be happening, people wonder if this Game of Thrones movie will still come to fruition. Now, Paramount did say that they were going to release 30 movies a year. And also, I believe I read somewhere, I can't tell you where I read this, I don't remember, but I believe I read somewhere that the CEO is a Game of Thrones fan or something like that. So that could be good. I don't know if that's true or not. You guys will have to check that out yourself. However, I hope this happens. According to Variety, who again credits Page Six Hollywood as the original breaker of the news, although plot details haven't been confirmed, the story is reportedly about Aegon I, the founder of the Targaryen dynasty and his conquest of Westeros a few centuries before the original Game of Thrones television series. Now, this is awesome. Variety credits Page Six Hollywood as original breaker of news. You can read this article. Link is in the description. Read all the articles. Links are in the description. This is awesome news because we're starting to form, if this does happen, we are starting to form a Game of Thrones universe where you can start to watch things in chronological order. You can watch the Aegon and his conquest. You can watch then House of the Dragon, then A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Then you can watch Game of Thrones. And even though they came out, they didn't come out in chronological order. It would be really interesting to go back and watch them in that order. They're going to be able to provide context. The Game of Thrones was a show that ended not so well for people, but they've managed to somehow revive the IP into a universe, and the universe is expanding, and to potentially see this universe expand into movies. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine how epic this will be. Apparently, we know that Aegon had his sisters, and they all rode in on dragons, and there was what the one place, the Sand People or whatever, they were they ended up defending themselves or whatever. I just remember that being such an epic story. And if you make this a movie, just one solid good movie, oh my gosh, take my money. I'm getting a ticket immediately. I want to watch this in IMAX. I can't imagine a single person who wouldn't want to watch this. Even if you don't like the end of Game of Thrones, they know that they're going to make it good. And boy, oh boy, you couldn't get me more invested after you told me that the writer of the Andor series is involved. I am not joking when I say this. As somebody who loves Star Wars and who does want the Andor hot toy at some point, I will tell you this, okay? I haven't made the decision yet. I haven't fully made the decision. But I have been contemplating, is Andor, the series, the best thing Star Wars has ever done, period? I'm talking above the original trilogy, above the prequel trilogy,
Careful
above
now.
the sequel trilogy.
Those are treacherous waters. You're going to
I know. Andor is so fucking juicy and good. And literally, I was telling people this before this announcement, long before this announcement. Andor is like the Game of Thrones of Star Wars. It's like this political spy thriller. It gets deep and dark and dirty. It's so interesting. It's got jaw-dropping moments, immersive. The dialogue is brilliant. Andor is so good. If it wasn't Star Wars, I would be saying this is one of the best things I've ever seen. It literally is a brilliant show. I feel like I enjoyed season 1 more than season 2. However, both of them together still may be better than anything Star Wars has ever done. And I know it's a bold claim, but man, did I enjoy that series. And do I advocate for anybody who hasn't seen it to go watch it? It's such a shame that this series came out in such a bad era of Star Wars, because not a lot of people were willing to go and see it, I feel like. But the people that did, man, did they learn how good this show was. It really elevated the Star Wars franchise. And if you've got the writer behind that involved in a Game of Thrones movie, this thing, in my opinion, has the potential to break $1 billion in the box office. And I know nothing much about this movie at all. Zay, when you read this article, what were your thoughts being a fan of Game of Thrones? I don't know if you've seen Andor, but have you heard about it? Are you excited about something like this coming? Do you think that they should stick to the show format? Do you think this could be done in one movie? What are your thoughts about this Game of Thrones movie that may be happening?
So I've never seen Andor. I now have to watch it because you made a bold claim about it, and I'm a big original trilogy head in regards to Star Wars. Now, I'm in between on this. I don't think it should be one movie. I don't think that. I think that the audience Game of Thrones has generated, myself included, I would rather see it in show format because you get so much more time on screen rather than you're not going to make an 8-hour movie. Max, you'll maybe make a 3.5 hour, and that's pushing it. You're pushing Lord of the Rings extended edition length, and you're not going to get a lot of people to sit there for that. And it's easier, I feel like, to digest when it's in like show format. Like it's 1-hour episode that releases weekly. If you need to rewatch it again before the next one comes out, you can. My parents used to do it all the time for Game of Thrones. Stuff like that. I just feel like it's easier to digest. You get a lot more screen time. You get a lot more stuff, a lot more time to work with. Movie necessarily won't be a bad thing, but considering that this is an era that has, I don't think, ever been shown anywhere on screen really yet, only except like we covered it in those extra episodes, like Aegon's like conquering or whatever of this. I wouldn't want to make that a movie. I'd want to make that a whole fucking show. I mean, I would want to make that a whole show.
Can you imagine with the budget, like how epic? Like,
oh my god, it could do like so much with it, and it definitely could run multiple seasons. You could extend. I mean,
I was just thinking. I feel like movies have better effects because you got more money and less time.
Oh, that's true. I mean, yeah, you do. Yeah, so it's condensed.
That's just me wanting to see dragons. That's really what
that's all. Yeah, you just want the dragons. So what does it matter? But I mean, I don't know. I'm excited for it. I do think that Game of Thrones is doing a lot right now, though. At the same time, like they are just trying to pump out. It's like, holy shit! It's like they just want to get everything out. Like right now. I mean, granted, I feel like the show Night of the Seven Kingdoms and the second season of House of the Dragon or House of the Dragon in general has kind of maybe re-sparked interest in the franchise in general. Yeah. So it's like maybe they're like trying to ride that wave. But listen, this is a part of Game of Thrones I'm super, super interested to see. This whole story, learn it, like getting to see Aegon and his dragon, his conquest of Westeros, all that type of stuff. I think it'd be very, very cool. It's also early, too. I don't think there's any like director or anything for this yet. It's just pretty much just announced, right? Is all they said? Or they said the Andor writer's working on it. So I mean, I guess we don't know. I'm
not
curious.
Too much.
Yeah, I want to know who's gonna who they're gonna cast in it. Like, I mean, this also, I always say this, it's cool whenever they cover stuff like this is cool because since this hasn't really been depicted on screen, this story, like with actual character, like actors acting everything out, this gives a whole chance for a lot of maybe up and coming actors or people that are just getting their legs and getting their feet in the door of acting to put on a performance and to, have an iconic performance or chance. So I always love seeing that type of stuff. I always want to see people get a chance. I feel like there's a lot of talented people out there in the world that don't get a chance. It's very luck-based in general. But this will be fun to see. And I think it would be so interesting when the whole story of Game of Thrones gets covered, like every era from the books and everything. It would be so interesting to go back and watch it all in chronological order and like just get to see all the events in order. Because right now it's like, we're jumping. We just kind of, we jump a little here, a little there, kind of this type of thing. So it'd be very, very cool to see this all as one thing.
Well, let me ask you a question then. Okay.
Yeah.
They have only, since Game of Thrones come out, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, House of the Dragon, even what this movie is reported to be, everything has been taking place before Game of Thrones. Do you think they'll ever be bold to make a project that takes place after Game? There were some in talks, but they never came through. So that's a question.
I think after they butchered the final season because they didn't have anything to go off of, and they're like, fuck it, I'll wing it. I think it's smart for them just to stay safe and only do the stuff before. If they get bold and can get George to maybe conversate about future, sure. But I think that that's where they would lose a lot of people, because I don't have confidence that they will be able to create this world and create this story that we've gotten to experience in Game of Thrones, and that, you know, we're getting told to us in House of the Dragon and stuff. Again, I'm not saying even with source content, you can still fuck it up, but you have a less chance of fucking it up if you use the source content. Just stay true to the source. Everyone loves the books. The Song of Fire and Ice, the Song of Ice and Fire novels are great. They're great novels. Stick to it. There's a reason why they're revered. Stop doing this. It's like, oh my God. It's like, hey, you shouldn't use water for electrical fire. And they're like, well, I'm going to use water for electrical fire. It's like, you're going to get electrocuted. And then look at what you did. Like, you know what I'm saying? Don't stick your fork in the outlet. Why?
But the problem is, to be fair, George R.R. Martin does not like to finish his fucking project.
That's true. Georgie, you're not off the hook either. Finish the shit.
Yeah.
Everyone wants the ending. Everyone wants all these things to be finished. You gotta. Oh God, there's a universe where it was all written out before any production, and I'm sure that universe has a way happier Game of Thrones audience with the final season. I don't know what timeline it is, and when I find out how to get to that timeline, I'll let you know. Bring you with me for a ride. I'll bring it back with me. But damn it, man. So I don't know. I'm excited to see what goes on with this. A lot of Game of Thrones going on and stuff. A lot of superhero stuff. So both things that could possibly be hitting fatigue levels, but right now it seems like not. So,
well, what are your guys' thoughts? Are you excited about this? Are you interested in the Game of Thrones world expanding? Do you think, like Zay, it probably would be better as a series? I don't know for sure what I think either way. I do think, though, the battles will probably be cooler if it's a movie, because the budget will be higher per minute, essentially. But what are your guys' thoughts? Do you prefer it to be a movie? Do you prefer it to be a series? Do you prefer it to be multiple movies? Do you think that it is something they should be covering, or do you think it was better off to be a story that was kind of told as a past event, not something shown on screen? Do you think that they'll ever do something that takes place after Game of Thrones? They were in talks of doing some things, but they don't seem to ever have come through. So what are your thoughts about this news? Are you excited for the movie? Are you hoping it will happen still? And how do you feel about the writer for Andor being involved? While you guys think about that, put it in the comments. Let's check out some of the live chats. Mrs. Snater says, okay, who doesn't want to see dragons, really? Yeah, I'll never get dragon fatigue. I'll tell you that much.
They know. They've seen any of our episodes with it. Go find an episode with a dragon and look at this kid's face light up the second it's on screen. It's craziness.
Tariq says, I actually just got done watching all of the Game of Thrones for the first time. That last episode was questionable. If the movie is done right, I smell a trilogy. I do prefer a TV.
Trilogy would be cool.
Okay, here's what I'll tell you, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like you, this might be better to do as at least a trilogy or a series, just that way there's more time involved in it. However, I would much rather this be one good movie than...
Oh, hold on, your mic's crackling a little bit.
Oh, okay. All right, can you hear me?
Yep, sound good now.
I would rather this be one good movie than one good third of a trilogy that doesn't perform well enough to where we don't get the other two parts.
I see. Okay, because they bank on having it be a good first movie to set up the next two, but if it isn't done well or doesn't get the popularity, I guess I see. Because if you're gonna stretch it across 3 movies, that's at least gonna be 7.5 hours probably. If it's a Game of Thrones movie, I'm sure it's gonna be 2.5 hours easy.
And maybe $1 billion budget for all 3 total combined. Julesy says, I think George did that as a tip of the hat to Tolkien.
Because they were saying, what are the odds of 2 of the greatest... Someone said, 2 of the greatest artists, media, literary giants. Yeah.
Mixie says, well, George R. Martin needs to finish the books. LOL. Yeah.
Listen, that hand up. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I forgot. He does need to finish the books.
XF says, wasn't there a stories about a Stark sequel in development? There was a Jon Snow show that was supposed to happen,
but they canceled it, right? They just never.
I mean, I don't know. I just haven't heard about it. And
but it was like because it was just going to be like about his life at the wall, right?
Like out, like past the wall, yeah, with the
so wild. So that would have been the first thing that would have been done post,
right?
Everything. But so I guess, yeah.
I don't know if they're still doing it because I haven't heard any word about it, and it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Let's see. Mrs. Napster says there was a debate about whether to do it as 3 movies or to do it as a series. And the reason why they want to do it as movies is because there's so much battle in it and they feel like a movie. Yeah, I understand that. But however, like Zay was saying, the more you put into the battles, the more you're sacrificing time with the characters, like dialogue. And so it really is a rock and a hard place. However, I just want them to bring Game of Thrones to the movie side of things. So I'm positive about this. I hope it'll be good.
And just to touch on the Jon Snow show real quick, I just found this from Entertainment Weekly. It got shelved in early 2024 because I remember this now. Harrington had said that they weren't really able to find the right story to move forward, but there's been reports this year that they might be revisiting it in early development. So it got shelved probably for a couple of years. They probably had to come up with a story, but I'm glad. Shelve it. Don't just let it marinate. Then come back when you have something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
don't rush it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, freaking gracious.
Rodney Joyce.
Rodney Joyce comes in with a $20 smackaroony, and he doesn't even have anything to say. He just wants to send in support for the show. Thank you, Rodney. Everybody, big shout out to Rodney. We really, really appreciate that, man. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for supporting the show.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, everybody. W. Rodney. Wow, that's awesome. This show has been going really good. We're super excited to continue doing this. More and more of you have been coming every show. This show, we haven't cracked. Like last show, the highest was we ever got was 29 viewers. This show we got 28. So we're still right there.
Damn it.
I know, we're still right there. We can get to 30. And if we can keep getting up, the more we go, it'll be awesome. We love doing this every week. Love seeing you guys pop in and love seeing the support, especially from you, Rodney. Thank you so much for the $20 super chat.
Go down to Jules's comment at the bottom. So Arya's supposed to find out what's Westeros. How about a show on that? Plus is Syrio dead? No, nobody. So the Arya Stark one, because I looked at it because there's a different comment mentioning an Arya Stark show. That is also in very early development, and it's supposed to be her exploring Westeros, and it's supposed to be
Westeros.
The lands west of Westeros. Sorry, and it's supposed to not be like dark and broken like the Jon Snow show was supposed to be. It's supposed to be more of like adventure of the week vibe, is how they described it. So I would be interested to see that. I want to know what's west of Westeros as well.
I will be interested, however. One of the great things about Arya in the Game of Thrones show was seeing her evolve into this badass assassin.
Yeah.
Now she is a badass assassin.
Yeah.
So how much more can she get better? I mean, there's going to be some awesome scenes. Like, could you imagine like a stealth scene? Like, oh my gosh. She is really OP now, but I'm excited to see. She can wear people's like faces, like masks and all this crazy stuff.
But then it makes me wonder too. It's like, all right, don't get too silly with it either. Keep it like maybe adventure of the week, but make sure it's like, I kind of want that. Like, I want that kind of my darker tone. Like she's an assassin. You know what I mean? Right. So I want to see like her being that badass.
Yeah. Drop Barracuda with a $5 super chat. Thank you for supporting the show. Drop says, don't have to read this out, but you asked about my collection. I sent a link to the gram. Oh, okay. I'll check it out. Yeah. Thank you.
As Cam read it out loud. Don't have to read this out.
Oops.
Sorry.
Anyways,
sorry, Drop.
Thank you for the $5 super chat, and I'll check out that link. All right. Saren says, you guys, I have been watching your videos since the Game of Thrones reactions really getting old. I mean, we've been doing this for we're coming on 4 years now. Are we coming on 4 years? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
In this April, it'll have been 4 years of Cam and Zay. Gosh, it doesn't feel like that. It does
That's
not feel like
crazy
that.
for you. It
By the way,
doesn't.
we cracked 29, so at least we're tied with last episode.
Good job.
But yeah, no, that's unbelievable. 4 years. 4 freaking years.
Unreal. We're getting old.
Zay was still living with his parents. I was single.
You weren't even. Yeah, you were. Oh yeah, I was gonna say you're married now. You weren't. You were single. You had one dog.
Yeah, I had one dog.
I had no dogs. Tina didn't live with me.
Yeah, now I'm married. Now you're in your own place. Like, gosh, you guys have been with us on quite the ride. We're almost in. We were what, 23 when we started this?
Man, that's
23
crazy.
years old when we started this, and we're pushing 30. I mean,
don't say that ever again
this year.
Don't say that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, we're gonna keep staying. So thank you guys for joining in on this episode. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for Drop Barracuda and Ronnie for showing support and supporting the show the ways that you do, and for everybody for stopping by and joining in and watching along and listening to the news and letting us know your thoughts. And stay in touch with the channel, because next week we will be back at 5:30 same time with more news.
Hell yeah.
Keep an eye out. The next reaction to hit YouTube will be Sinners. We'll see you guys on the next one, and peace.